For so long, I looked at my social media as a place to where I can be a part of the revolution in a sense, where I can play a part. I saw social media as a tool, a major tool in our liberation, because I was able to see how, people were getting on here and they were talking about what was going on. They were spreading information, and some of that really did have a positive effect on how we actually lived our life, like in real time, right? And so it was like with that understanding, it was so like this is like years ago, right? It just felt, I'm sure a lot of you understand and know where I'm coming from, but it just felt so like, okay, yeah, like we can see the positive effects that come from social media as well as the negatives. But you know, but I think now we are still just doing the same things we're doing and not much has really changed. And social media really is just people reiterating the same knowledge and understanding that we have about what freedom could look like, what oppression looks like, how the system works, how the government works, and like what is going on around the world, which I think all of those things are important to continue to talk about. But I think what we need more now than ever is action that is aggressive, that is violent, or that is us not buying shit, paying our rent, any of it. Like that is what's going to actually, like, it's just so clear. At this point, those are the only things in my eyes that is actually going to give us the freedom that we want. We have spent so much time sitting on social media and discussing and debating and spreading knowledge and doing all these things, and it has done just a little bit of good. It has done good. But when the end goal really could be like us living an entirely different way, us having sovereignty over our bodies, us not in this system that is all about control, like when that is something that could be done, and when we look at where we still are at, not much has changed. And so I just find myself these days looking at social media of what it really has always been. It was never going to be this major tool that was going to give us what we wanted. What is going to be that is us actually taking action in the real world in real time. It is a very unserious place. People come on here really to just cause discourse. People come on here just to say stuff or to say stuff that they really do mean, right? But they feel like they have the balls to do it because they're on social media, right? A lot of people are using words that they don't really understand, or trying to validate their shitty behavior through, again, words that they have just learned and don't really understand. Or there's a lot of people that really don't care that about like being in this system. Their goal really isn't liberation. There's people who, when they're talking, the answers are still within this systemic way of thinking. And so it's not about destroying the system, because the basis of the system is oppression, it is shaming. And so that must go. It is like people think that the answers are like just, changing a different person in office, or, just things that really aren't going to change anything. And so, I don't know, it's just like me doing what I once did with my social media, which was looking at it as a tool of liberation, in the sense of like getting on here and reiterating the same stuff and wanting to sit here and debate with people who really don't care what I have to say, who really don't want to have an actual conversation. They want to be right. I'm never going to be able to change their mind, right? And that sounds hopeless, and that sounds like I understand that there have been people who have had their minds changed by discussion. I'm not saying that, but again, what is needed above all is an act that they will actually hear. And we understand with these people, we see what they're doing right now. The only thing that actually moves them is violence. It's aggression and it's money. So if we're not doing any of those things and we're just sitting here talking about them, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't care. I think this has also put us in a state of of a standstill, to where we are just so afraid to do anything outside of just talking. And maybe because we understand that that is going to be uncomfortable, that is going to be like scary and just a lot. That even I, of course, still find myself being afraid of and scary. It's scary, right? But it's either that or we continue to stay within a system that is controlling us, enslaving us, killing us, and etc. And so I'm willing to do that. Even if that meant that, like, I genuinely would do it if it meant, like the people after me would be okay and good and free. Maybe that meant that I wouldn't be able to experience that, even though it's something that I truly crave on a day-to-day basis. If me putting myself out there and demanding my freedom meant that that would be how the world works from that point on, I am truly willing to do that. And so what I'm saying is that I now just want to learn more ways to show up in real time in real life and act in real time. And no shade, but I'm not just talking about doing like just a little, like, again, discussions like, I'm sorry. I'm discussioned out. I think there's always going to be room for discussion, and especially once we destroy a system, we most definitely are going to have to sit down and talk about how the new world looks, on how ways, on what we need to get rid of what we can still keep, what can benefit us. But I think right now what is needed again is for us to, as a whole, be like, no, we demand our freedom. There's no more talking. There's no more trying to whatever. We're meeting you right where you will listen. And we stand here strong and stern on that. And like, I just feel like that is the only answer right now. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's genuinely how I feel. And so again, I'm looking at my social media back at what it really is. It's like this unserious place. I'm looking at it as a place though, like my algorithm now is full of people who are, I think, just being themselves, navigating through the world in a way that understands of like none of this really is real. And so they are going throughout life doing what makes them feel happy. It's no longer about trying to do ways of how it's expected to be and, in order to be seen as successful and whatever to other people. It's like, no, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to take a chance on myself in whatever way. I'm going to lean into my passions. I'm going to say what's on my mind. And I think that plays a major role in the revolution, though. When you value who you really are and you stand on that and you show the world that, it does create a space for inspiration. It does show people that there's another way of doing things. And so that's what really my platforms are leaning on now more. It's like being unserious, just laughing, having fun, showcasing the things that I'm doing in my real life, and showing who I truly am and standing on that, no matter how cringe, no matter how it looks. And not being a part of that revolution, right? But I think another part of that, and the true part of that, is like rejecting the system in every way. It's acting in ways that where you actually will be heard. Listen, I could easily just assimilate to the system. It would be so easy. I could easily do that and, get the little money and fame or whatever, and then duck off and have a false sense of freedom while the rest of the world falls apart. I could do that. But I understand that I would never be actually free. And so, I don't know, that just, has affected so much of how I decide I want to do things in my life. And so it's like, and again, like, and everything in my life now is really about having real life experience. I'm so tired of just scrolling and thinking what could be. I'm so tired of that in every sense. And so now it's me really going out in the world and like demanding that, getting that, having that experience, living, laughing in real time, you know. When I get on social media now, outside of when I'm posting and when I'm within the algorithm of people that also kind of understand that also are like enjoying themselves, and I don't know, like, but like when I'm outside of that on these algorithms and these timelines, and I just see people that are just so like the products of the system, that are so just want to debate, that just want to say shit, that want to argue, want to be right, want to look smart, you know, just reiterating stuff that they've heard that they don't even really understand. People who don't want to rid themselves of this system. The black conservatives, the black capitalists, that just scare me more than anything, because I'm like, this system was never meant for you at all, and you wanting to cling to it for all of the reasons that you want to, it's just like, and then you, not only just that, but then you being mad at people who don't want to do that. Like, it's crazy to me, but all of that irritates me. All of that bothers me. All of that puts a negative whatever in my psyche. And it's not about trying to run away from confrontation and run away from how people think, because at the end of the day, true liberation, it's going to have to be taking all of that head on. It's going to have to be real conversation, real all of that. But it's like, I no longer am wanting to do that on social media. It's not worth it for me anymore. And again, that doesn't mean I'm going, like, because of who I am, I will constantly be talking about the things that I care about. But it's just not in the ways of how I was once using social media for so long, which is just like, okay, this is going to be what gives us that liberation of reiterating, constantly talking about it, trying to get these people who aren't even like using their real profile pictures, or, you know, like that don't even really care, trying to get them to care and understand is going to be the thing, you know. It's just like, no. I really want, and I really have been lessening the time that I spend on social media, because I truly understand now what it is. And it's just cheers to real life experience, cheers to real life action, cheers to demanding our freedom. And I really hope that, and I truly believe that only how we'll be able to really do this is if there's a good chunk of us. Like I've said before, it's not just going to be like a couple people. That's not going to work. We need a good chunk of us to really make it to where we not only gain our freedom, but we continue to have our freedom. We continue to have sovereignty over our bodies. But either way, I will create a life that isn't depending on the system in the ways that I can. I will be able to have sovereignty over my body as much as I possibly can. But I put so much value though on making sure everyone is also able to do this. And I know that can be a blessing and a curse, right? But I don't think having the things and having this sense of freedom matters if you're still under a dark cloud that is the system that is so controlling, that is enslaving and is murdering people that don't want to live within it and all of that shit. Like, that is not freedom, regardless of what I'm feeling. And so I haven't given up on the fact that we can all have that. But at the end of the day, like, again, I'm demanding my freedom. I'm demanding my sovereignty in the people that I care about and bringing the people that I care about. Regardless. I'm sorry, regardless of how that sounds. I can't be in this thing of trying to bring everyone along for the ride when people don't even want that. You know, people don't even think that the system that they're in is something to run away from. And you know what? I'm no longer here to try and tell you otherwise.